Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Salford Stories, real people, real stories, presented by English Lit Entertainment and me, Christopher. So, we hope you've been enjoying them all. This is episode 5. This is the story, more or less, about me growing up around crime, drug dealing, mostly around my mum drug dealing, mostly through my teenage years. And you could say sort of groomed to become sort of a gangster drug dealer, which I just, I struggled with in my later life because I had to change my whole blueprint and the whole way that I thought, like, more or less, who I was. So that, but anyway, that's a different story. I'd say I was probably about 11 years old. Me and my mate Ian Stewart, who used to look after me at school because I was only small. He was like, he was Salford rugby lad, one of the Salford rugby lads, good lad. Looked after me. And it was like the first time we had a joint. We had a joint in there used to be a quick save in Walkden, near the Unit 4 cinemas. Hopefully people remember this, some people. And near Divided Pizza, across the road, there was a little quick save, and then there was a big billboard next to it, phone box underneath. And like, I can remember having a joint in there. We used to all go in big gangs. Even back then, we used to hang around in gangs. It was like gangs of 40 and 50. Like, get cans of lager. We all used to just go and walk in precinct. Just like young teenagers do. I can remember that. And then what I'd do is go into my mum's bedroom and like take some, take whatever was there, take some of it and put it, and then go and sell it. So I don't know if it's logical or it's just, that's what brought up to think it was good. It was not normal. It was okay to do it, so I did it. But you have to live and learn, especially when you're brought up like that. So I used to that's how it more or less started. And then I'd just make money here and there to get me Timberland boots, to get me records, to buy records mainly. And when I first started doing it, I used to just buy records and go to Manchester with my mate Gav, my best mate, and just make money that way, and then going back, spend it all on weekend, on a Saturday in town on vinyl. Used to love it. Buy clothes and just, even back then, this was in the early days, you'd get like £10-15 for one ecstasy tablet. £15, you know what I mean? There was a lot of money about even back then, and that's how it more or less started. And then I used to just do that, and then what happened is we ended up, like, this is quite an interesting story too, because we ended up moving to Gloucester. Like I mentioned, we moved down to Gloucester. We was living in Walkden, up Bolton Road on Jackson Street. My mum lived right next to Michelle. There was a big accident there. The house was set on fire. So that's a different story. That'll be in later. But yeah, my mum, she lived next to Michelle Pearson and all the kids who had that really bad accident when the house was on fire, set on fire by some absolute not right. Still doing time. I hope they get fucking what they deserve in jail then. Right, so the story was, I lived at my mum. We lived at in Jackson Street, and then my mum's boyfriend Chris Bond, he got a job. At that time, a few people from Little Ulton, quite a lot of people, because there was Beecham's. I don't know if everybody can remember. If you're from Little Ulton, you'll definitely know either your dad, your mum or dad, or one of them would have worked at Beecham's in Little Ulton in the past. Years ago, it probably gave employment to most of Little Ulton. Big Chris was one of them. He worked there, good shifts, good money. Anyway, they relocated a load of people down. It's Procter and Gamble. And anyway, they relocated a load of people from Little Ulton, from Salford, from that Beecham's in Little Ulton to down Gloucester. There was one there, bigger one. So they paid for the houses, give him good wage and everything. It was really good. So we moved down there for a couple of years. What we didn't realise is what my mum would do is move down there with us and then move back to fucking Manchester and leave us. So it was just me and Stephen, my brother, and Big Chris. And Chris, we used to call him Big Chris because I'm Little Chris. I'm actually bigger than him now, so he's Big Chris now. So we moved down there. It's really good. We ended up, we had to start school. I had to do 2 years there. Stephen still stayed up this end for a little bit while he went to school. He stayed at George's in Walkden, Little Ulton. So he stayed there for a little bit longer and then come down and joined school. It was really good. It was in a way, it was one of the best things that ever happened to us. Even though he was left down there with Big Chris, I used to have to be the fucking mum in the house. I used to have to clean the garth and everything. Big Chris was like a sergeant because he'd been in the army. So you can imagine what it was like. Stephen didn't give a fuck. He was just throwing out the bus window, throwing the seats out of there on the way home. That's what he was getting up to. Anyway, so we moved down there because of what I'd seen my mum doing. You copy it, it's just a natural, I think it's sort of a natural process sometimes, especially when you're that young. So I was just copying what I'd seen. And that's what I'd seen around me, people drug dealing and robbing banks, fucking all sorts of shit, shooting people and all this stuff. It's going to have a little effect on you, especially at that age, that young, impressionable age. So I used to do my little hustling. I used to get my bits up here. I used to know a few people up this end and then my side. And I used to, like I said, sometimes I'd take some of my mum's bits. Like, I think she used to have a lot of amphetamine, so I'd take some of that a lot of the time in the early days. I think people will remember it was pretty bad for amphetamine in the 90s and the 80s and 90s, I think. So I used to take bits of that and bag it up and sell it. And what I did is like get it up here. We'd come back up here most weekends, and like I'd get me food, take it down there, make some money. It was really good. Mostly weed, like really good weed, like skunk weed and stuff like that in the early days before it was all this chronic and everything, before it was all this high grade and medical grade. Just used to be skunk weed, and it's like my mum used to have ounces of it in the kitchen. She'd be there fucking steaming it and all sorts like a Chinese person. Anyway, so I used to just do that and hustle it down there. It was really good in Gloucester. We lived in a place called Salford, Berry Hill. The house was absolutely mint. It was like a little hobbit house. We all had to duck down. Me and Chris had to duck down. Stephen was short, so he didn't have to do it. House built into on all the roads around there was all like dead steep roads, like going down a hill. Even the houses were built on hills. I remember my friend Sean, one of my best mates, his house was actually on a steep hill going down to the river, and it was all built up, you'd have to drive up and down that hill and then park on the hills. It was absolute proper steep. And in the town, right in the little Salford town. This was when my mum was alright, not too bad. She opened a shop in Salford, a little clothes shop, really good. Like, got all the clothes from Manchester, all Guy and everything, started selling it down there. Good marketing, really good. So that was in the good days when she used to do positive things. Some positive things anyway. So we lived in this little hobbit house. It was mainly just me and Stephen going to school and Big Chris doing shifts, 12-hour shifts, and then come home. But like, me and Chris had to duck down. Stephen didn't because he was quite short. The ceiling was really low. You just have to duck down. I remember my bedroom, like wooden doors, like if you come from the city from fucking Salford, it was different. So it was really good. Had like a pantry, little garden. We took a couple of the dogs down there, Brit. So we just lived there and just getting on with it. Started school. There was just one lad from Manchester when I started school, because it was like, what it's like when you start new skills and that, dead nervous and what have you. So, and then another lad from Little Lee Hughes. He's still good mates with him now. Really good lad. He started the same day, but on that day, like I said, my best mate Sean, that was the first day I ever met him. He just approached me and said, "Yeah, do you want to just come just chill with me?" You know what I mean? When you're just on your own, you don't know what you're doing. So I just chilled with him and became best mates. Oh my God, the fucking teachers hated us. We was the worst too. Do you know what I mean? Just sat at the back of the class taking the piss. Just bad. I got on with school. Really good. School down there, that was different as well. Obviously a lot more funding, comprehensive. I did a bit of rugby at one point. I was even playing rugby, not league, rugby union, and even the rugby lads, Salford rugby lads, and all union. It's not the same. Prefer rugby league, like. Northerner. Got the usual bullies because I was from Manchester as well. Lads in the years above me, trying to bully me and stuff, but just stood my ground. So like I say, just get me bits and take them down there, make money. Met loads of different people. It's where I learned how to DJ with my mate Jim. I hung around with a unit of people who was older than me. He was all a year or two older than me. Big Jim, but Jim and Tom was from Macclesfield, and they'd moved down there years ago. So Jim was sort of looked up to him a bit, do you know what I mean, like a bigger brother. But I used to go to his gaff. His gaff was massive, like a big, massive 4 or 5 bedroomed house, stairs in the middle and that, absolute massive. Back then I didn't care. His mum Rose, oh my God, she used to go mad once. She chased us all out of the broom. out of his house. He fucking tries to hit you with the broom at the back. He remembers at the back's getting whacked. You'll remember that. Good times at gyms. We used to have a pair of decks there, a pair of Technic. I'll get in his room, just play on the decks all night. Where I learnt my skills, DJing. Good times. So like I say, we used to like, you know, it's when you just first start trying different stuff out. We used to drink Scrumpy cider, obviously. You're in fucking Gloucestershire, what else are you going to drink? So we used to drink Scrumpy cider, smoke weed and stuff like that. And acid. I used to get acid from Manchester, from the city, and take it down there. Even though what they had down there, which was just something else to me, it was like, I'm glad they experienced it. And they had like travellers, new age travellers, they live on camps on caravan sites, a bit like our travellers, our Irish travellers up here in Salford. But these ones are like hippies. And what we used to do, you can go there and buy drugs. You could go there and buy like weed and buy 9 bars of like, back then, like the resin weed and acid as well. Yeah, I remember that. There used to be a lot of acid down there, amphetamine. Anyway, on the estate, we used to just have our little gang. I told you most of them was older than me. Neil was a year younger than me. He went to the school, Neil. And his older brother Chris. We looked up to him. He was like pretty wise, streetwise. And then there was these 2 brothers, absolute fucking lunatics. One called Keith, and they just used to knock about. But what they did is, because they knew the drugs that I had was good, because they was from Manchester, they, you know what I mean, they was interested, so they used to buy it all the time. But then this is mainly what the story's about, this story. Yeah, so this Keith, he used to hang around with us. Chris used to like knock about with him a bit more, because Chris was like I think he was a bit of an addict at the time, amphetamine addict. He was a bit like bagheads, but they just use amphetamine whiz, and they shoot it up in the arm with a needle, or wherever they fucking do it. And it was pretty bad in that times. I mean, like I say, Neil was like our best mate, and it was his older brother, and we was always in Neil's bedroom. And I won't lie, you know, sometimes I can remember times when there was like, once I think Chris, because he needed it that much, he wrapped this thing around his arm, and then he did it like right next to me. Oh my god. You know, when you're right next to it, that's when you do it. Never mind watching these programs on telly, and someone does it right fucking next to you and then gouches out, because then that's how much they needed it, because they're addicted to it. And it's one of the worst amphetamine addiction. It's one of the worst. It can ruin you. I've seen loads of my friends ruined off it. Matty Steed, he's from Little Hutton, it got him, and he was one of the funniest lads you will ever meet in your life. He should have been a stand-up. So I used to do that anyway, this Keith, one day. So this is what happened, and like I said, sometimes I'd take some of my mum's, I'd take some out of whatever she had, bag it up and sell it. Well, I didn't know my mum was a fucking idiot. She more or less always has been. And what she did, I won't lie, I was a little bit like that. I didn't cut it as bad as that. Everyone knows, because when I used to do it in Salford, you know what I mean. But sometimes, you know, I wouldn't do it as strong as you should. I mean, everyone gets up to that shit, but not like this. And my mum must have done something anyway. She cut it. This was in the early days, and she'd cut some amphetamine, bicarbonate of soda. And if anybody knows the science or knows about the drug scene, especially when you're using needles, if you bicarbonate of soda, it has bubbles in, and if you put that in your arm, it can kill you. Well, you won't fucking believe it. I sold him some of this, and it nearly killed him. I didn't know none of this at the time. I was only 15. And anyway, he got me. He tricked me. He set me up, and he got me into the house, and only Neil was there. And on God's name now, I am glad Neil was there, because I probably wouldn't be sitting here telling you this story. Because Neil come out of the bathroom, I'll tell you now, this is how it went. So I ended up in this bedroom. Neil got up, went to the toilet. I ended up sat in this bedroom with Keith, and I'm telling you now, he was a fucking lunatic. And when I say lunatic, we're real from Salford, but this guy was fucking out of this world. He was like tall, thin, skinhead with like a spiky fucking punk dude. He was like traveller, punk, eco fucking warrior. Do you know what I mean? But a really aggressive, fucked up in the head one, and addicted. Like, probably had heroin, had a lot. Anyway, he had me in this room, and when Neil went to the toilet, the fly cunt, I was only 15, he was about 30, he was a fully grown man. But he got me up, and do you know what? Remembering the story now, I can remember I nearly pissed my pants. That's how scared I was. He fucking stood up and grabbed my neck and stood me up against the wall while Neil was in the bathroom. He stood me up, he had a Stanley knife, and he was like, I can't remember now, he put it up to my neck, and he was like talking about this stuff, saying that fucking stuff you give me, it nearly fucking killed me or whatever, or killed me brother or whatever it was. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know what he was on about. I was like, right, Keith, what, right, whatever. Anyway, look, he was just about to probably, jib me with it. And Neil come out of the bathroom and went, Keith, what you doing? And like stopped him in a bit, like he sort of stopped then, and he lowered the Stanley knife down, and I was like, fucking hell. Anyway, I was really scared. Like, it traumatized me a bit, that, like, on the way home. I can remember on the way home, I was really paranoid, looking behind me, looking for cars, looking if he was chasing me, you know what I mean? It really fucking scared me. I was only 15, it was probably one of the first times that I'd been like, wow. Let me tell you about his brother as well. He wasn't as aggressive, absolute fucking lunatic as well. But I can remember once you're not supposed to, I remember in them days, because like I say, they was like putting anything in needles. You're not supposed to put ecstasy in needles. I used to get these really good ecstasy from Manchester, obviously the best drugs about. And I got this ecstasy, and this is how much fuckheads there was. Put it into a syringe or whatever and like shot it up. There was like some empty houses on the estate, and everyone was talking about it, and Keith was going on about it. He went and sat in a house, did it, and he was sat in that house for 2 days. He didn't move. He didn't actually move for 2 whole days. And I can remember everyone was like, wow, he's like shocked, no way. But imagine where he was. He was like fucking out in space somewhere. Absolutely. Who would do that? And he did it, like did double the amount that he should. He probably nearly died. That's why he was there for 2 days. And then we ended up actually moving back up to Manchester after that. I finished school off, and then because my mum wasn't having none of it, she was always in Manchester anyway. She just used to come and visit us every couple of weekends. I'd bring some of my mates down, Gav and Dave. I'll come and pick us up so we could go back up there. So we ended up just moving back to Manchester, moving back to Jackson Street, and then Big Chris did eventually. And then we was just like, I think my mum split up with him not long after that. I was also doing DJing at the time, but I didn't know I was full of trauma. I was full of childhood trauma, unhealed. I was full of all sorts, so it wasn't really going to go anywhere anyway. But I tried to follow my passion. I was always following that. I was, like I said, on vinyl records, because it was quite expensive. There was like really good record shops, one in Bolton Beat Street, and everyone heard of Eastern Bloc in town and everything, so I used to just go there. And then Kenny Grogan, he had the Manchester Underground before Manchester got bombed, and I used to go there. I was really young in them days, and he used to give me all the white labels and all the imports from under the desk, because he knew me mum and he knew everyone from Little Hilton, because Kenny Grogan was from Little Hilton. Oh, he used to give me the best music. I've still got them vinyls now to this day, so hopefully that was a bit of a good story for you. It might have ended up a little bit long. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next episode.